Do you like teenage girls?
When you say teenage, how old are we talking?
Girls who are teenagers.
Rolex on your wrist, a plain giant.
For someone to come home with me, all you have to do is be Quit playing. I didn't do this stuff. But just use your common sense. This is not me. I'm fighting for my life. Y'all killing me with this. This is not about music.
What up and welcome back. It's your girl Jane, the plainest Jane, and we got some syrup to get into. Let's get into day 6 of R. Kelly's Chicago trial. We've got my co-host here. Y'all know things are always sticky in Hollywood and in real life. And today, we've got Leo eating treats in your face. All right? That's it, truthfully, because you got 3 on the last ride. Can you get down? Leo, get down. Thank you. Continue to get down. Thank you. All right now, you know, the star government witness, the girl from the tape, Roshana Landfair, Sparkle's niece, she's testifying, and boy, does it make R. Kelly look bad. 11 months after R. Kelly's conviction, 7 weeks after his sentencing, he's facing another trial in Chicago, which seems like it's a redo for the 2002 indictment / 2008 trial, but it's not, because he actually obstructed justice in order to beat that trial, not to mention he's done some similar things with some similar people. And his behavior, it's just been repetitive over the course of 30 years. A lot of us know that, right? Multiple tapes, multiple victims, different crimes as it relates to the same victims, 13 counts of child production of pornography, right? The production of child pornography. And then obviously the 2008 trial, they ain't letting up on him obstructing justice, right? The government is also seeking money, a money forfeiture actually of $1.5 million. So let's get into this. I'm very appalled at today's what happened on day 6 of the trial. Come on in, hit the thumbs up button if you haven't already. I know it's 4 o'clock in the morning, especially over here in Baltimore. Baltimore, stand up. Okay, put a 410, a 443, a 202 in the chat if you're from Baltimore. It's late as hell, but look, I was already 2 days behind with the R. Kelly trial. I can't let it get to 3. It's too much. It's just, I've got to do it. I literally got to be to work at 8:45, and it's 4 o'clock in the morning already. So I already set myself up for failure a little bit, but it's because I love y'all. So when I say that, when I ask you to hit thumbs up, it's really just a free way to donate, support the show. If you want to send $2 to the Cash App, I got the Cash App on the screen. If you want to send a super chat, I do appreciate that too. YouTube don't give me a lot of money when I make these videos because I'm talking about child porn. I'm talking about relations, intimate relations with an adult and a minor. So if you are able to support the Cash App or send a super chat, that means a lot. But if not, if it ain't your pay week, just hit the thumbs up. It means a lot. But look, I'm concerned and I just want to get right into what we are discussing today. The prosecution dropped the ball big time. Right? Last video, when we were talking about day 5, what happened on Friday, it seemed like the defense had dropped the ball. But it seemed like, well, actually, you know what? They both dropped the ball on Friday, day 5. But today, the prosecution, I was really appalled because one thing that I do is I'm very meticulous and I'm very detail-oriented. And some of the details that Roshana Landfair's mom said while she was on the stand today, compared to what Roshana said on the stand between Thursday and Friday, it was different. It was different to the point where they literally conflicted one another. So things aren't really looking too good. And I'm not sure if the cross-examination made the prosecution or the government crack under pressure, but the defense was definitely going hard at one particular witness. Honestly, and I'm not really sure if it was because the testimony was already shaky and disjointed to begin with, but it's a lot. So we also have a great amount of documentation that spells out, literally spells out obstruction of justice in black and white, right? mind you, R. Kelly's not just on trial for child porn here in this case. It's the obstruction of justice when he beat the child porn case back in 2008. So we're getting into some receipts, no testimony connected to the receipts, but we are getting into some documentation showing that he did, in fact, him and his team went after trying to obstruct justice. We're also going to get into an obituary. I know between this video, right, and the last video, there was a member of the PeeHive who felt like, why isn't she talking about the obituary? Da da da. Calm your pee valve, because I know you're looking to collect as much urine as possible if you're a part of the PeeHive. But the obituary is coming up. I'm not going to leave it out. I have no reason to leave anything out, regardless of what side it's from. Okay, this is the reason why I'm being so open about how I feel like the prosecution, the government was lacking a little bit. Monday, day 6 of R. Kelly's trial. We're going to get into it, okay? Now, keep in mind, if you are a part of the PeeHive, and I do call the PeeHive R. Kelly supporters, and you want to call in and you want to defend your king, you will get an opportunity to call in at the end of the show if that's something that you want to do. Keep in mind, if you want to call in, you do got to show your face. You do got to show your face. You do got to show your face. But nonetheless, we're going to get into an obituary, right, that may dictate or confirm where you land with this case. And also, right, you know how I do, right? So we got several of the actual exhibits straight from the courtroom. So shout out to all of y'all in the chat. Y'all know that when I covered the R. Kelly trial last year, it got me mentioned by the New York Times. So shout out to y'all who even let me know that I was mentioned by the New York Times. So while y'all come in, grab a seat on a bus. While you hit thumbs up, drop some pancakes in the chat. Shout out to everybody in the live chat. Shout out to my moderators. Shout out to my channel members. Y'all know y'all get a lot of stuff early backstage. Matter of fact, I know a lot of y'all had something to say about Dawn P or Dawn from the Thursday show. I got to let y'all know something on my backstage members only, and I'm going to post that between now and when I get to work tomorrow, because I did get a follow-up email from him. A picture of him and Aaliyah. Believe it or not, I know a lot of y'all felt like he was bullish, but I'm going to show y'all that. That's only for the people who really be on it day by day. So look, I know y'all didn't had enough time to catch up. Y'all didn't had enough time to catch up between Thursday, Friday, Monday, and now it's time to get into what's going on with day 6. So let's get ready for takeoff. Shall we?
The plainest Jane. This is one of my favorite comments here. She says, I loves me some black, and she said, loves me some black news. She says, is it just me, or does anyone else get tired of seeing people that don't look like them delivering info about them day in and day out?
And we're back. So shout out to everybody who's here. Now look, I always give you a trigger warning. If we cover the R. Kelly trial, you know we're going to be talking about some stuff that's gruesome, that's disgusting. The last video was actually very disgusting, especially as we got closer towards the end of the video. But I just like to give this trigger warning anyway, because who knows if I might just end up circling back to those details. So we might get into some gruesome details. Just want to give you a trigger warning and descriptions containing like sexual abuse, right? And sexual trauma, right? So real quick, I hope y'all are feeling all right. Y'all know in the beginning of all my videos, I mentioned mental health. You ain't got no business getting into this video and what I got to say and what R. Kelly got going on unless you've had a moment to tap into what's going on in your real life, in your real world. Make sure that that's handled before you get into being nosy with these celebrities. Shout out to my new subscribers. I think we're at 15K. I honestly can't keep up because I'm trying to do all I can do for this. I had to get 2 shows together in one day while I'm at work trying to work my regular job. It was a lot. So when I say thank you for sending something to the Cash App, I mean it, okay? Even if it's $2. Before I get into breaking down today's topics and viral events, make sure you subscribe and thumbs up or down. Either way, I appreciate it. But make sure you think critically and independently, regardless of what you hear from me or anybody else. Let's get into it. Leo, what can I do for you? Yeah, but I wasn't like it. All right. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Because if I pick you up in a chair, you're going to get up there. You should have just got up there from the jump. Can we continue, you guys? Let's go. So let's get right into it. Some of the counts that R. Kelly is involved in with this trial here. Mind you, he's got another trial in Minnesota to face after this. The stuff that R. Kelly is facing, we got videotape evidence. This is very difficult to refute, obviously. Other counts will largely rely instead on witness testimony, but whatever. Y'all know when I'm covering cases, I start outside of the courthouse. There's nothing going on outside the courthouse. When I say nothing, I mean nothing, right? So now we can get into how yesterday started, how yesterday ended off. So we'll get into day 6 by just giving a slight recap as to day 7, just the tail end of that. The jury yesterday, which was Friday, technically day 5 of the jury, they ended up watching 3 of the illicit tapes of R. Kelly having illegal, intimate relations with a 14-year-old while he's a grown man. Okay? Disgusting. R. Kelly can be heard in said videos literally saying to a 14-year-old Reshona, Sparkle's niece, he can be heard saying to her, "Get on your knees." Roshana can be heard responding to that saying, "Daddy, do you still love me?" R. Kelly can be heard responding to that question saying, "Of course I do." Roshana is also heard referring to her 14-year-old genitalia repeatedly with a very high-pitched, young-sounding voice. Now, mind you, when she's referring to her 14-year-old genitalia, she's literally saying and repeating about her 14-year-old PUSSY. She's literally heard saying and repeating about her 14-year-old AASS hole. And see, I can't even say it, as a grown person talking about things like that. It's different to just say in passing, but I can't. We're talking about a child, so I just can't just say it. So I'm spelling it out. But even as I spell it out, you can feel how heavy hearing a 14-year-old saying that about her private parts. That's a lot. Not only is Reshona, a 14-year-old Reshona, heard in the tape referring to her 14-year-old genitalia and private parts, R. Kelly is also heard several times in the tape referencing her 14-year-old PUSSY, her 14-year-old ASSS hole. So it's it's a lot that jurors that the jury had to hear. And watch. As a matter of fact, we just got to hear it and read the jury actually had to watch this. Okay. The prosecution identified the man on the tape as R. Kelly. The defense never denied that it was R. Kelly. That's one thing that I noted at the end of yesterday's video, at the end of day 5's video, which was Friday, is that R. Kelly's attorney, while Bonjean is very slick and annoying, she's slick. At no point has R. Kelly's defense denied that it's him in these tapes. So also in these tapes, R. Kelly can be heard giving a 14-year-old Roshana several rounds of sexually explicit instructions. As you heard earlier in the video, he was saying to her, get on your knees. Then he gets into this point where he's saying, get on your knees. I said don't move. To which you can hear Reshona saying, I'm sorry. Right? So R. Kelly's attorney then asks the prosecution's witness, because there was a prosecution's witness up on the stand, and this was an HSI agent, asking them, how many tapes do they have in their possession associated with the case? Silence ensues. R. Kelly's attorney says, can you answer the question, please? The HSI agent says, I'm sorry, I was waiting for an objection. They were anticipating an objection because that's obviously how their practice went. And the judge says, well, if there's no objection, then I'm not going to rule, which is common sense. And it's a moment to chuckle at, because it's like, what's happening here? Obviously, you had a witness on the stand who was anticipating an objection, because that's how they practiced. But however they practiced, and it seemed like the government / prosecution was going to come through and give an objection. The objection never came. The HSI agent was waiting for it. The judge says, if there's no objection, I'm not going to rule, which is really embarrassing. And that's how the prosecution dropped the ball yesterday. However, despite the prosecution dropping the ball yesterday, I do think that the defense dropped the ball today, which is really, what's the word? A major letdown. It's a major letdown. So now we get into the government's seventh witness. And again, we're still at the tail end of yesterday, just to give you an idea of what transpired yesterday. This is the tail end of yesterday, because it wasn't really much. The government ended up calling up a witness. This was a Customs Border Patrol agent. His name was Jonathan. And he ends up telling the jury about who traveled with Reshona and her parents to Mexico or the Bahamas in 2002 when the sex tape first went public. Now, the prosecution says R. Kelly sent Milton June Brown to keep tabs on Reshona and her family. According to flight records shown to the jury, Brown indeed returned to the United States from the Bahamas on February 21st, 2002. Okay. So let's see. All right. So let's go ahead and continue. They get in the flight records in the court. Right? They're showing these flight records to the jury. Brown returned to the United States round about the end of February in 2002. But the defense says, look, it's not like his job was to only keep tabs on her. He went to the Bahamas 5 other times too, right? So now we're going to get into day 6, right? And like I said, come on in. Okay, come on in, hit thumbs up. We're gonna get into what day 6 is, which is today, which is Monday. It's only 133 of y'all to hit thumbs up, and it's 280 of us here. That's less than half. Basic, it's pretty much less than half. Maybe 137, 2 something. Yeah, but still hit thumbs up. Hit thumbs up and let's get into it, because honestly, I do got some. As a matter of fact, I'm holding out on the remix until y'all hit thumbs up. Y'all already know what time it is. But we're gonna start off recapping day 6 by going through some of the various exhibits from last week, and I think that this might really, the recaps, the exhibits from last week is something that a lot of y'all might want to see. Okay. So some of these, and shout out to the people joining the membership. I do appreciate each and every one of y'all. I know it's been a couple of you, and I wish I could shout all of y'all names out. This is an exhibit here, right? This is part of the Looney Tunes mural adorning the basketball court at the home on George Street, the wood-paneled basement, the hot tub room, and an area at R. Kelly's former Chicago track studio where he allegedly assaulted Reshona Landfair. This is one of the exhibits that actually was in the courtroom. In the courtroom. Again, you know McDonald's is one of R. Kelly's favorite places to eat. It might be one of his weaknesses if we're going to keep it a buck. Honestly, because we had an R. Kelly groupie who actually reported on how it just wasn't a good look to have R. Kelly having McDonald's for lunch, knowing the relationship that he has with R. Kelly, how many minors he's met and recruited at R. Kelly. So that just lets you know that his fans already know that R. Kelly does dirt. They just try to stay away from the vicinities, albeit a physical vicinity in real life, or whether it be the conversational piece of a vicinity. They like to stay away from that aspect of the conversation that's going to get R. Kelly caught up. This part really speaks volumes, because if there's anybody who has even seen the tape, or if there's anybody who has seen a still shot from the tape, you know that this wooden paneling in the background is actually from where? It is the location where R. Kelly allegedly created the tape where he abused and violated Sparkle's niece, Reshona Landfair. I won't say the most, because just because it's a tape that is at the heart of the trial doesn't mean that like that is the most or the only time that he's done that. However, the tape at the heart of the trial does have a wood paneling background here. Let's keep in mind here that this is a place, right, where we're literally sitting here taking a look at R. Kelly's old spot at his old apartment. This is a spot that literally used to be a church. Now, if you remember, I can't remember if it was day 1 or if it was day 2. But this is why it's really important for you to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And I'm not just saying that to sell myself. I'm saying so that you aren't like out the loop as I continue to cover this trial and talk about these things, because I gave you a virtual tour of this very residence here. Although these are images from 2002-ish, I gave you a tour of this very place as it stands now, which of course looks a lot more modern. But these are the pictures from 2002 and things when they were taking pictures. So, again, this was a home that R. Kelly lived on George Street. It was tricked out. This literally used to be a church. So it's a converted church, right? It had a swimming pool, a barbershop, a full wall fish tank. There was a lot that was going on here. Okay, a lot that was going on here. And, to be quite frank with you, here we go. And it does look similar but different, because I found the address and I took you on a tour based on how it looked then. But if we take a look at this, okay, we can see, it was pretty large. None of it excuses what he's done, but it's just something to, to glance at. You can see the government ended up writing on here, this was the bedroom, this was the kids' bedroom, this was a bedroom, kids' bedroom, a master bedroom. I can't make out this, it's not legible enough for me. What's this say? Lower level, beach level, deck level, barber shop. This was the barber shop back here under the steps. So you can see that there's a lot that R. Kelly had going on in this home at the time, even back in 2002. These are some of the exhibits, and I wanted to start off day 6 by letting you see some of said exhibits. Okay, y'all know I do this every trial, right? So let's get into day 6, and thank y'all for hitting thumbs up. It's 320 of us here. Where should we be? We should be at 150 plus 10. We should be at 160. We at 159. We can do better than that, though. We can do better than that. Let's get into day 6. Hopefully, the way that I continue to talk about this trial and what happened today, hopefully it will encourage you all to not only hit thumbs up, but to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because this is expected. This trial is expected to continue all the way up until mid-September. So we got a couple more weeks to go, and I want to keep you in the know with what is going on with R. Kelly's trial. So let's keep it popping. Day 6 begins. We got this RIS agent on the stand. This IRS agent, their name is Jason, and they are being led through a series of records that are a part of R. Kelly's asset tracing investigation. I can't even lie to you. This is nowhere near as salacious as any of the things that we went over on days 1 through 5. I can't even lie. It's not as interesting. However, it does catch R. Kelly red-handed as it pertains to his books and his finances and his attempt to obstruct justice, which isn't always necessarily trying to break someone's neck, right? Sometimes it's money. Sometimes it's you trying to shut people up and keep them from talking to the government, or keep them from lying to the government, which means that you're paying them money, which is why they pulled up all of these financial records and they bought in an IRS agent to go over all of these things. This is an IRS agent who actually spent over 3 hours on the stand, right? They spent nearly 3 hours walking jurors in R. Kelly's federal trial through a network of payments made by his various companies as a part of an alleged scheme to cover up the sexual abuse of minors. So they end up looking through records from Sony, driver's license information from both R. Kelly and his co-defendant McDavid, filings for the state of Illinois. They're going through court records. They're going through Base Productions and RSK Enterprises, as well as McDavid's company and Winkler and McDavid. Now, let me tell you about that. Okay. Now, who the hell was they drawn in this picture right here? Who the hell was this supposed to be? It's been a minute since I looked at this B-roll. Who that was supposed to be Robert? Okay, I know I don't like him, but that damn sure don't look like Robert. They got to stop it. Okay. Lord have mercy. So we get into the finances. We're going through court records. We're going through business documentation, the funds being paid out of all of Robert's businesses, along with Robert's associate, right? McDavid's company, because R. Kelly's not on trial by himself. He's on trial. We've got R. Kelly, Brown, and McDavid. They're all three on trial together. They all participated in some of the same crimes, right? So honestly, the government wants R. Kelly and McDavid to forfeit assets used to commit and promote child porn offenses, which they've been charged, including a $1.5 million settlement. You might recognize this octopus right here. You know, I really hope that a lot of you didn't have to recognize this octopus. However, this octopus is a thing. This octopus was actually used in 2019 for R. Kelly's state trial up in New York. And they used that octopus in that trial to show R. Kelly and the different people that were involved in payments and operations within his business. An octopus. And so the prosecution reintroduced this because this octopus was actually presented by R. Kelly's, the defense side. So R. Kelly's team actually presented this octopus. And so this octopus is being introduced again, right? And I had to go back to my original files to get a clearer picture of this, because the pictures that were being presented now, I'm like, this is blurry. I have the original. So this image, they felt like, oh, R. Kelly, one man ain't no enterprise. One man ain't no enterprise. One man ain't no enterprise. But, you know, his side of the defense ended up saying, but here's how the business worked. One man ain't no enterprise, but this is how the business worked. And clearly all of the different tentacles represent a different person of the enterprise. But nonetheless, the octopus was introduced again in today's trial. And the octopus is funny. Like, the octopus is funny because they felt like they were proving a point with the octopus to prove him innocent. And really what they were proving is that you clearly got multiple different people. Apparently, let me move on. Apparently, there used to be some friction between R. Kelly and co-defendant McDavid, right? Again, R. Kelly's not on trial by himself. So much so that McDavid actually filed a lawsuit against R. Kelly. Right? So R. Kelly's on trial alongside two different people. You got three people sitting over here as a defendant, and you got the government sitting over here as one person. R. Kelly, McDavid, it comes out they had an issue, and McDavid filed a lawsuit against R. Kelly. And McDavid is saying, listen, R. Kelly ain't pay out, the settlement money he owed me. We parted ways, but he owed me money. The paperwork involves what sounds like was basically an NDA. It was a non-disclosure agreement acknowledging that McDavid had, quote, obtained highly personal and confidential information regarding R. Kelly, in quote, when they worked together, and McDavid agreed not to make any of the information that he obtained public. Let me let that sink in for a second. Because based on what McDavid was saying to Reshona, they made it seem like McDavid, didn't know any personal information. Didn't have any personal information. Was always in the loop, out of the loop, excuse me. So this is really interesting. So the paperwork that the jury became privy to, it basically disclosed that they had an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, that acknowledged that R. Kelly and his co-defendant McDavid actually had obtained highly personal and confidential information regarding R. Kelly when they worked together. And McDavid agreed not to make any of the information public. So basically what happened was McDavid never got his silence settlement. That's what happened. That's what happened. And R. Kelly was actually supposed to pay McDavid more than $1 million in $40,000 installments starting in 2014, but he immediately fell behind. So let me repeat that. R. Kelly was supposed to pay McDavid. He agreed not to make any of it public. R. Kelly was supposed to pay McDavid more than $1 million and $40,000 worth of installments starting in 2014, but he immediately fell behind in payments. Somebody said always pay your hoes, Robert. Exactly. If you don't pay your hoes are going to lose their minds. In other court documents, McDavid states his role as R. Kelly's manager, which included paying out all bills and receipts for R. Kelly and hiring and firing employees. So McDavid lays out his duty as R. Kelly's manager or assistant. He's to pay out all of the bills, all the receipts. He does all the hiring. He does all the firing. And prosecutors have said that McDavid also handled payoffs to reclaim copies of R. Kelly's sex tape ahead of the 2008 trial. And that's the thing. If you put in your job description that, and you acknowledge that your job description was to pay out all of the bills and receipts. If you say my job was to pay out all of the bills and receipts, then the bill to get back a sex tape is included there. Okay, so get down, because nobody told you to get up here anyway. You see what I'm saying? He confirmed that his job was to pay out all of R. Kelly's bills. But then when it comes to, oh, well, you paid to get the sex tape pack. No, I didn't. Oh, but you put in your job title. You know what I mean? You confirmed in your job title. I don't think so, buddy. I don't think so, buddy. I don't think so. Let's get into more. Let's get into more. Drop some pancakes. Hit thumbs up.
So let's see if you're really about it. If you've been serious about what you've been saying about wanting to support more Black-owned businesses, here's your chance. I found a spot for us to grab our hats, hoodies, affordable electronics, phone accessories, and gadgets from. It's over on edwerso.com. That's EDWERSOW.com. Grab something for your hubby, your wife. Hey, I ain't encouraging that side chick behavior, but it's just in time for the holidays. So head on over there and grab your AirPod cases, hoodies, and affordable electronics. That's edwerso.com, EDWERSOW.com. And I'll see you over there. It's time to face it, boo. Your product needs more exposure. If you want to see your ad here on my channel, be sure to shoot an email over to yt.theplainestjane@gmail.com and let's chat. But if you're new in my neighborhood here on YouTube, hey, I'm the Plainest Jane, and I provide coverage and commentary on trending stories, viral events, and Black culture. I definitely appreciate you stopping through and hitting that subscribe button if you like more of my particular brand of syrup.
All right, and we're back. Thank you all for hitting thumbs up on the video. Wait. All right. That's it. You can get down. You can get down. Get down. All right. Moving right along. We had, and thank you for the cash apps. I do see I have 2 cash apps. Thank y'all so much. Even if it's just $2, y'all mean a lot. So boom, we can see R. Kelly's co-defendant literally is stating, look, I ain't got nothing to do with somebody paying, right? Making outgoing payments to get those sex tapes back. Like, I don't got nothing to do with that. But also acknowledging that their job description was, I paid out all the bills and receipts. If he's trying to get a sex tape back, that's a bill, that's a receipt, that's outgoing payment, right? So it seems he's already just like implicated himself right there. But that's just my thought going through it, right? Now, we still have this IRS agent on the stand. And again, they're walking the jurors through these charts that they've put together, and I'm talking like some very detailed and elaborate charts. I'm talking damn near a spreadsheet, right? Totaled up with every outgoing dime, right? Connected to R. Kelly. Now, the IRS agent has made the chart slash spreadsheet reflect payments that are Kelly and Kelly related entities made to victims slash witnesses and their parents. Now, let's get into some numbers. Like I said, some of the stuff, it's not the most exciting stuff. Listening to these numbers may be boring. However, these boring numbers may be what really convicts. R. Kelly, now from roughly 2006 to 2012, Reshonda's parents were paid nearly $80,000. None of those were classified as normal payroll expenses, according to the IRS special agent there. Keep in mind, Reshonda's father also worked as a musician for R. Kelly right about this time. Now, although there was no formal settlement, now, mind you, the jury has already heard this quite a few times by now, that there was no formal settlement between Reshona Landfair and R. Kelly. That didn't stop her from receiving money, though, in cars. And so the jury becomes further privy to how Reshona received several payments from 2008 and 2015, many of which were labeled settlement. Although she had no formal settlement, she's made it known she has no formal settlement. R. Kelly's denying having had agreed to or provided a settlement. Reshona also denies having a formal settlement, despite the fact that these payments are coming up from an IRS agent who was literally sitting here authenticating payments between the two, whether it be directly from Robert or from Robert's businesses, and they can see on the note or description line that it says settlement. Both parties deny that they ever had a formal settlement agreement. And there is a such thing as a formal settlement agreement. However, the both of them deny to having it, and there's nothing tangible to show that they actually had a formal settlement, despite the fact that there were wire transfers and checks written that said settlement on it. Okay? Hopefully you understand the difference there, but that's what's happening here. Although there was no formal settlement, the jury becomes privy, although they already know by now, to how Reshona has received several payments from 2008 and 2015, many of which were labeled settlement. Jurors have already heard that there was never any formal settlement between R. Kelly and Reshona. The payments that said settlement or had settlement in the description line, they were sent in the form of checks. You can see in check memos where it says there were also wire transfers that were categorized as settlements, despite both of them denying and there being a lack of a legitimate legal settlement agreement. So the IRS special agent also walks the courts through travel records showing that R. Kelly's businesses paid to send Reshona and her parents to Mexico and the Bahamas for 3 weeks in 2002 when they learned that one of the tapes involving their daughter, Reshona, was about to go public. So then the court gets into reviewing the title for the 2001 PT Cruiser, which R. Kelly gave to Reshona when she was 16 years old, and a Yukon he gave her around the time they split and Reshona moved out of R. Kelly's house. So these records correspond to Reshona's testimony last week about her relationship with R. Kelly, because she did mention a car. Matter of fact, she mentioned 2 cars. She did. And I was wondering, damn, girl, what happened to the first? I ain't gonna lie. I heard about the first car. And then we got to the second one. I'm like, damn, what happened to the first one? And I still don't have answers to what happened to the first one. But R. Kelly did get her two different vehicles. And between 2006 and 2019, R. Kelly paid around $2.2 million to his co-defendant Milton June Brown, who, according to his lawyers, was a low-level assistant to R. Kelly. Again, you can hear how R. Kelly's co-defendants, both of them being former associates and employees of R. Kelly, how they're trying to downplay and downgrade their participation with R. Kelly as employees. We were low level. We had no clue what he was doing. If he was doing illegal things, we didn't know. He tried to keep his life private. He tried to live a double life. He told the girls not to tell anybody. He told the girls not to tell anybody in the world. I'm part of the world. I'm part of the people that he didn't tell. And that is essentially the defense of both of R. Kelly's co-defendants. So between 2006 and 2019, R. Kelly paid around $2.2 million to co-defendant. That's a lot of money, right? Milton Brown, who, according to his lawyers, was a low-level assistant. Now, that comes to about $130,000 a year in payments. He paid this co-defendant $2.2 million. And you think about it, you R. Kelly, you got an employee of yours, you giving him $2.2 million. Like that's a lot of money, even for R. Kelly to get. So for you to give that to your co-defendant means that there's something going on here, right? So now they're keying in on a $200,000 check from R. Kelly to the same associate from April 7th of 2007. Now, this is the largest payment that R. Kelly had ever made to Brown, and the check was actually cashed the same day it was written. So now, running through just a ridiculously large sequence of bank and credit card records with some six-figure transfers and checks, hotel charges, travel purchases being highlighted, the whole 9 yards, including a $10,000 and a $100,000 payout to one of the prosecution's witnesses. Keep that in mind. I'm talking about R. Kelly paying money out to Milton Brown, but I just brought out a very large lump sum that was paid out, right? Including the $10,000 and $100,000 payout to a Charles Freeman. Who is Charles Freeman? Charles Freeman is a prosecution witness who was paid to recover sex tapes. Now, this is the key fact. This is the key piece of evidence. The legitimate overt act that proves that R. Kelly was blatantly trying to obstruct justice. Jurors are able to see for themselves the evidence of large payoffs for cover-up schemes to help him rig the 2008 court case. Okay? Now, again, how is the jury able to see that there was $10,000 or $100,000? Again, we have an IRS special agent sitting on the stand, and they have charts. I want to call it an Excel spreadsheet, because if you had a chart and you had these totals and you were able to sit up there, baby, that's a spreadsheet. That's more than a chart, right? And the spreadsheet is nothing but a very detailed and organized chart. It's a spreadsheet. And the jury is privy to this document, not only to how R. Kelly paid one of his associates, but he's paying other people to buy back some sex tapes. R. Kelly's a fool to even think that sex tapes are buybackable. Even if you buy them back, please don't think that they didn't make copies, or that like that's it. That's like saying, I'll give you $300 to delete that and take it down. without thinking that the person still has a copy of it that they can send to somebody else or upload under a pseudonym. But okay. Yes, Leo. What's going on? And what's that? Okay. Let's move on. Like I said, this is it's boring stuff because it's nothing but number spreadsheets, and it's been hours. This IRS agent has been on the stand, but this is very necessary to catalog and really call things out one by one in court in order to prove that this elaborate scheme to obstruct justice and to have sex with children did in fact transpire. We're not just saying it. We're not just using buzzwords. We're not virtue signaling. We're not saying the same things over and over. This really happened. And that's why they unfortunately have to go over this stuff over and over and over again. Now, the courts get into entering birth certificates of R. Kelly and of all of the other accusers in order to establish the ages of each and every one of them on the record without the shadow of a doubt. Like, just they're not playing them games. They enter birth certificates so that if in the event that that there are minors, it's documented. Okay. So thus far, the IRS agent has been on the stand for 3 hours, right? Luckily, I gave y'all a little synopsis in what? 11, what, 10, 13 minutes? Yeah, they was up there for 3 hours and don't nobody got time for that, right? But while they were up there for 3 hours, they were authenticating banking, property, and other records essential to the case. Okay, now we get into cross-examination.
Hey, thanks for letting me keep you connected and in the know with what's happening in the Black world. Don't forget to smash on that like button for support and for more Black news.
So as we get into cross contamination, and look, first of all, thank you so much for sharing this video. Y'all already sitting here on my bus, and hopefully y'all already hit thumbs up. But if you haven't, take a moment to hit thumbs up. But also share this video with somebody. Share it via text message. Put it in your group chat. Share it in your Instagram DMs. Put it on Facebook. Put it on Twitter. Let me pick your friends up too, right? It really helps. But now we're in the cross-examination. Same IRS special agent. So the defense gets to go in and ask questions to challenge the government's witnesses. And so, Lord, here we go with R. Kelly's attorney, right? R. Kelly's attorney right off the gate point out how the settlement between R. Kelly and McDavid contained no admission of liability. Remember, I was telling you about how R. Kelly and McDavid, they had a discrepancy, and R. Kelly was supposed to pay him a little over $1 million because he was privy to some very private and potentially detrimental info on R. Kelly. R. Kelly fell behind on those payments immediately. And the first thing that R. Kelly's attorney does when they get to cross-examine this IRS special agent is say that the settlement between the two of them, it didn't contain an admission of liability. So the IRS agent actually moves forward to, actually Bonjean actually confirms with the IRS agent that Robert didn't personally sign any of the checks referenced in testimony and didn't personally initiate any of the wire transfers to Reshona's parents. So one thing that the IRS special agent is sitting up here saying is that, look, we've tracked a lot of payments that went to Reshona and went to her parents. Whether they want to admit, or show or display how they're accepting payments for silence, hush money, whatever the case is, right? A settlement agreement. We've clocked a lot of these payments. Well, R. Kelly is saying, look, his team sent those payments out. R. Kelly didn't personally sign for those things. And that's what happens. That's when you need to realize you're working for a celebrity, whether they be big, small, medium, whatever they are, squeeze in the middle. You writing checks and doing that dirt for them, they'll get to court and say, my client ain't do that. That's what the employee did. Whole time the employee was literally working at behest. Behest. Welcome to a new vocabulary word. Behest means someone told you to do it and you did it. If you go to work and your boss says, hey, can you, I need a report by 3:00. Can you get it done? You got that report done in behest of what your boss said. However, they're sitting in court and R. Kelly's attorney is like, well, Reshona and her parents might have got paid, but Robert didn't sign those checks or initiate those payments. His employees did. Whole time the employees were doing it because that's what they were told. But here's his attorney trying to make a point for him while trying to implicate and incriminate the co-defendants. That's why you got to be careful. If you're going to do dirt with somebody, make sure y'all got the same motives and exit strategies in mind. Okay. So, and she is able to confirm, though. That's the one thing I can't lie. She's able to confirm with the IRS agent that R. Kelly did not personally sign any of the checks referenced in testimony and did not personally initiate any of the wire transfers to Reshona's parents. Unfortunately. Okay. Is it the PeeHive in the chat? Let me go ahead and drop the link in case the PeeHive want to call in. Because if they want to call in, they can. I'm only looking for the PeeHive to call in. I will hang up on you if you don't support R. Kelly. Okay. I'm gonna drop the link and I'm gonna keep reading. Okay. Now, in other words, R. Kelly's attorney is saying that there's no indication that R. Kelly himself directly paid anyone, including Reshona, right? Now we get into cross-examination. This is cross-examination on behalf of defendant McDavid. And let's get into McDavid's attorney and what they have to say to this IRS. Again, lots of financial records are what they going are what's being reviewed right now in court. So that is what this examination is about, right? So McDavid's attorney reveals that if McDavid had breached this settlement deal with R. Kelly and exposed what he knew about him, he would have owed R. Kelly $100,000. This is referencing the NDA. The NDA that McDavid is stated was in place. If remember, I was telling you earlier that McDavid and R. Kelly had actually had a tizzy before they split. He became privy to some information that was sensitive and potentially detrimental to R. Kelly's career and his trajectory. And therefore, he signed an NDA in order to keep it quiet, but he was supposed to get a certain amount of money a month in exchange for his silence. But he never got that money, and R. Kelly allegedly fell behind on those payments not even a month later. And so, therefore, McDavid decided to sue R. Kelly because I believe R. Kelly was supposed to pay McDavid around about $1.2 million. But R. Kelly didn't pay that. He made one payment and that was it. So now McDavid's attorney is saying, listen, y'all saying my client kept quiet, but if my client had said something because he signed an NDA, he would have owed R. Kelly $100,000. Apparently that was part of the the fine print of the NDA settlement situation that McDavid and R. Kelly had. Hey, I'll give you $1.2 million if you be quiet, but if you do speak up, you owe me $100,000. So this is part of the excuse that McDavid's attorneys are using in this event as to why he didn't speak up. Not to mention, that's pretty contradictory to some of the things that he has said thus far coming up in the trial. But this is what he's saying right now. Okay. Now let's get into, and thank y'all so much for hitting thumbs up on the video. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Okay. Let's get into Reshonna's mother actually taking the stand on day 6, which is Monday today. Let's get into what she had to say.
Hey, thanks for letting me keep you connected and in the know with what's happening in the Black world. Don't forget to smash on that like button for support and for more Black news.
All right, let's get into it. What, Leo? What? You okay? You want a treat? You do? All right. Get down, please. Get down. Get down. All right. Let's get into it. The prosecution introduces Reshonna's mom to the stand. Reshonna's mom is using a pseudonym named Susan, but come on now. Come on now. Like she gonna be Reshonna's mom, right? I won't use her legal name, right? We just gonna call her Reshonna's mom, right? I'm not using Susan. I'm not talking about a woman with blonde hair, right? How many Black Susans do you know? So the prosecution introduces Reshonna's mother to the jury and tells them about the shoe store that her family owned in Oak Park from 2002 to 2010. She says she got to know R. Kelly through her sister, Sparkle, but also knew about R. Kelly prior to this, stating that he was strong in the music business and that he also was a Grammy winner. Now, Reshonna's mom says that she met R. Kelly at her then 14-year-old daughter's concert. Sparkle was working with R. Kelly at the time, and Reshonna's mom then met R. Kelly again at the recording studio while supporting her sister, right? So you got Reshona, the girl from the tape, you got her mom, and then you got her sister. Her sister was Sparkle. You got Reshona and her mom who are on the stand in this trial. Sparkle's not on the stand, which could have a little bit to do with why she's wilding out on social media right now. Now, Reshonna's mom says that her daughter started going to R. Kelly's studio more and more to, quote, work on music. Says it was then that her sister Sparkle arranged for R. Kelly to be Reshonna's godfather. The prosecution asked her, how do you feel about that? Reshonna's mom said, I felt kind of strange because my sister told her to ask him to take on that role. Not to mention Reshonna's grandparents, right? Who was Reshonna's mom, who was already testifying. Her parents had already picked out who the godparents were going to be, right? Reshonna's grandparents had already picked out who the godparents were going to be. And so Reshonna's mom ends up acknowledging that she was dropping off her daughter, Reshona, frequently at R. Kelly's residence to work on music. And because to her knowledge, Reshona was spending time with R. Kelly and his family and going to movies and shopping and just hanging out with the kids. Now, she goes into testimony, right? Sparkle's daughter's mom, Reshona's mom, goes into testimony about December of 2000. Now, in December of 2000, CPS contacted her and her husband, right? The parents of Reshona. CPS contacted them about the tape and the illicit, intimate relationship between R. Kelly and her daughter, Reshona. And that prompted them to have a meeting about the allegation. The meeting was between Reshona, her mom, her dad, and R. Kelly, and they met at a hotel in Oak Park. Listen closely to who was present. Reshona's mom says that R. Kelly never admitted it. Let's take that back for a second. Let's rewind it for a second. And let's let it sink in what we're saying right here and right now. Right? In the year 2000, the tape was anonymously leaked. And so Reshona's parents were notified, hey, there's a tape, and we're hearing that it's your daughter on this tape with this grown man, and your child is 14. As soon as they were alerted and contacted by Child Protective Services, they arranged a meeting, Reshona and her parents. There was a meeting between Reshona's mom, her husband, who was Reshona's father, R. Kelly, and I'll leave the list there for attendees. So they go to meet with R. Kelly in a hotel at Oak Park, in Oak Park. Reshona's mother says on the stand, R. Kelly never admitted he did it. In other words, R. Kelly never admitted that it was him on the tape with my 14-year-old daughter violating her. But at the meeting, R. Kelly was just saying he was sorry and he was crying. I was bawling and I was crying. And they also said that we needed to leave town right away. And that's what happened. So she's saying her and her husband set up a meeting with R. Kelly after they were told by Child Protective Services that there was a tape of their daughter being taken advantage of by a grown man. And they had a meeting with the man, and the man never admitted it, but the man sent him out the country. The man told him, you need to leave town. The man never admitted it, but he said you needed to leave town. You know, it's important to note that Reshona's mom cannot recall if her own daughter was there at that meeting. This is where I become so disappointed here. So her mother can't remember if her own daughter was at the meeting when R. Kelly was crying and told him that they needed to leave and at this hotel in Oak Park. But she states she does remember that R. Kelly's co-defendant McDavid was there. Now, when Reshona gave her testimony, the daughter of the woman who's on the stand now, when she gave her testimony last week, she stated she was there and she gave these details, but she gave more details, right? Like she told this scenario, but she had more details. And she even gave the same description, like I said, with more details about R. Kelly crying, but she stated she couldn't remember if McDavid was there, co-defendant, right? So mom is saying, I can't remember if my daughter was there, but McDavid was there. The daughter is saying, I can't remember if McDavid was there or not. This is why you see that the title is what it is. It says disjointed testimony. It's because this testimony is full of contradictions and it really makes me sad. Y'all had years to get this story together. Y'all had years to get this story together. And it's either now or never, especially because you have immunity. You're protected from perjury. because you didn't tell the truth years ago, and then the two of you get on the stand and tell conflicting testimony. And honestly, Reshonda's testimony sounded spot on. Her mother's testimony was so contradictory that it makes you want to slap your mama. It does. Okay? Because again, this is testimony where Reshonda's mom is saying, I don't remember if my daughter was there, but we were meeting up with R. Kelly about what he allegedly did to my daughter, but I don't remember if my daughter was there. Here's what her daughter said about the situation. She's being asked, what happened when you arrived at the meeting with your parents? What happened when you arrived? Roshana says, my dad and Robert stepped away in a room, my mom and I were kind of in a waiting, we were kind of waiting on one side, and they were talking in another room. And I just remember my dad storming out and being upset. And he told my mom that it was true, that there was a videotape of Robert and I, and he was crying and he was upset. But here's the thing. You can see Reshona sat here. This is the transcript. Reshona sat here and says, R. Kelly told my mom that it was true, that there was a videotape of Robert and I. Whole time, her mom gets on the stand and blatantly says R. Kelly never admitted it, but he was crying. Damn, did y'all not talk last night? This contradiction is sad. It's doing this case a disservice. It's doing this case a disservice. Now, not to mention, her dad passed sometime last year. Someone asked in the comments. Last summer, her dad passed. Now, Reshonda's mom, she actually seems nervous on the stand. She's frowning. She's fidgeting at things. And she's also getting confused by some of the questions and the time frame. Now, when she was asked why she was upset over the allegations about R. Kelly and her daughter, she says, because my daughter was just 14 years old. And then she also states that R. Kelly and co-defendant McDavid told her and her family that you're either with us or you're against us. And she took that to mean that they were going to harm them if they didn't do what they were told. She says that she was very fearful. They were very frightened that they packed their bags and they left town. Now, pay attention to that. Pay attention to that. She says, quote, they were going to harm us if we didn't do what they told us to do. So we were very fearful. We were frightened. We packed our bags. We left town. She states that R. Kelly wanted them to paint the picture to let everyone know that it wasn't her daughter, Reshona, on the tape. Now, Reshona mom, her mom admits to lying to a grand jury back in 2002/2008. And when she was asked why she lied to the jury, she said, look, we feared our lives and we were intimidated and we just wanted to make sure our daughter was safe. She says, my daughter threatened to harm herself. She threatened to run away. She also threatened to never talk to us again. And that's the end of the quote. So we get in the cross-examination where defense gets to go in and ask questions to challenge the government's witness. And Lord have mercy, do we got some questions coming into play? 406 of us here right now. Thank y'all so much for hitting the thumbs up button. Let me take a second and blow my nose and parch my throat.
Hey, thanks for letting me keep you connected and in the know with what's happening in the Black world. Don't forget to smash on that like button for support and for more Black news.
So here's R. Kelly's attorney coming in to ask the girl from the tapes mom some questions, right? Reshona Landfair, aka Sparkle's niece, asking her mom, who wants to go by the pseudonym Susan, in court. R. Kelly's lead attorney is going in to ask questions. She comes in hot with, you have to tell the truth about everything here today, don't you? Reshona's mom responds and says yes. R. Kelly's attorney moves forward and mentions the immunity deal first, which protects her from perjury. When we talk about charges from the last trial, and she lied, she could be facing perjury charges. However, she does have an immunity deal because she's telling the truth now, which means that whatever she says today that contradicts what she said then, she's protected from legally. Now, R. Kelly's attorney prompts her to acknowledge that her late husband worked for R. Kelly in the 1990s. She also has Reshona's mom, Sparkle's niece's mother, acknowledge that she wrote in her husband's obituary that he got his big break working for R. Kelly then. Well, it's time to show it. Go ahead and show it. It is true. It is true that in the girl from the tape, Sparkle's niece, Reshona Landfair, her father, he did pass away last year. And in his obituary, R. Kelly was mentioned. And they mentioned R. Kelly in stating that R. Kelly was the reason he had his big break. This might not be the most clearest thing to you, but I sure was able to see this thing. Okay? Down here, you can see R. Kelly's name is here, right? This is the obituary of the woman on the stand. This is literally her late husband who passed away approximately a year ago. And you can see in his obituary, it states that he got his big break while playing for R. Kelly. Okay? That's what's said in the obituary. I wish it was a bit clearer for you here. However, this obituary is something that it is a private thing. The fact that I found it is just, it's that. But let me just read this sentence to you. Okay? It says Greg's inaugural break was while playing studio sessions with R. Kelly. This section would be the catalyst to Greg becoming known throughout the world as the Maestro, known for his creative work that helped with birth and the sound of fresh oil, etc., etc. So it might be a bit blurry, right? But as I pull it up on my phone and other things, because I got to zoom in a lot to help you all see it, this obituary is real. I'm going to post a clearer version backstage first and then on Twitter later this week so that you all are able to see. However, R. Kelly was definitely mentioned in Reshona Landfair's father's obituary, which is something that, people might consider it to be controversial or not. It's totally up to you and where you land with it. And I am curious as to where you land with it. Let me know down in the comments. Does it make you feel like there was no abuse ever present? Does it make you feel like the abuse or the benefits or whatever? Any and all thoughts, whether you're chasing the bus, whether you're on the buzz right now. Let me know down below in the comments. I can't wait to hear from you. But nonetheless, you've got Reshonna's mom. She continues her testimony, revealing that she did have some type of a relationship with R. Kelly. And see, that's the part. That's the part. Let me just take half a moment to say, right? You had somebody in the chat in between this video and the last video, right? Because I'm giving you day 5 and day 6 in the same sitting, and they're like, "Oh, you won't mention the obituary? You won't?" And it's not that I won't mention the obituary; it's that I'm moving in 2 different days, right? My people don't want to see a 4 or 5 hour video, so I'm separating it. I don't have a problem bringing up the obituary, especially if I find it. I found it. I saw it for myself. I see it's true. I'm team lock R. Kelly up. Yes, I am. I'm lock him up. I'm team keep him locked up because he abuses children. That doesn't mean when I see something that's not in the favor of the prosecution of the government that I'm going to hide it. Oh no, I'm still going to present it and bring it to the forefront. So when you catch people who don't really understand how I rock, how I roll, what my presentation is, what my order of operations is, she's hiding the truth. She blocked me. No, you're over here being an idiot. You won't call in and show your face and really sound off for your king. You know what I'm saying? You just, like, no, I'm going to bring up both sides, whether I agree or whether I feel like it's an L. And that's why I feel like today, I feel like the defense took more of an, I feel like the prosecution took more of an L than was really necessary, because there's no reason why the prosecution didn't communicate with the government. There's no reason why Reshonna's mom didn't communicate with her daughter. There's no reason why their testimony conflicted, and that's upsetting. However, that doesn't mean that I'm going to hide said information. Yeah, I'm going to bring up both sides because I am fair. I can be fair and still feel like R. Kelly is trash and still talk about things that make R. Kelly's accusers look a little So stop playing with me. Nonetheless, Reshonda's mother continues her testimony talking about some sort of relationship that she has with R. Kelly. And here's the thing. R. Kelly's attorney literally is going at Reshonda's mother a lot harder than they would have ever, than they did go at Reshona, right? And I was telling you that. I was telling you before cross-examination of Reshona, I said, look, if R. Kelly's attorney comes at the girl that was 14 in the tape, if they come at that victim real hard, it's going to turn the jury off, and the jury is automatically going to reach their conclusion. So for that reason, R. Kelly, his attorney, didn't go at the victim from the tape hard. Didn't. However, when it comes to the victim's mom, R. Kelly's attorney is going at them hard because they've been a full-blown adult the whole time. When their daughter met R. Kelly, it was something different. Now, I'm not excusing it, right? Because I do not like R. Kelly, and I definitely don't like his attorney. However, I'm saying I can see and I notice the difference in how hard R. Kelly's attorney is going at the victim's mom, and they weren't going at the victim in this capacity. So when Reshonna's mom ends up revealing that she had some sort of a relationship with R. Kelly that brought her into the studio by herself, R. Kelly's attorney starts asking her, oh yeah, you sometimes had an intimate relationship with R. Kelly by yourself, right? Reshonna's mom says, no, I was asking for business advice. R. Kelly's attorney says, okay, well, my client, R. Kelly, never told you what to say to the police and grand jury, right? Reshonna's mom says, yes, he did. Now, R. Kelly's attorney is confronting Roshana's mom now with the report of an interview with federal prosecutors where she said she didn't remember anyone specifically instructing her how to testify. Now, again, this is something that's already been established in the court, right? Because not only does Roshana have immunity, but her mom has immunity, meaning that they both acknowledge that they've lied to the courts already, and they want to come clean now, and they don't want to face any perjury charges based on coming clean now, because coming clean now would incriminate them and highlight the lies that they told back in 2002/2008. So both of them have immunity. But R. Kelly's attorney wants to go down this road because it's one of the only options that she has. So, again, R. Kelly's attorney is confronting Sparkle's niece's mother now with a report of an interview with federal prosecutors where she says she didn't remember anyone specifically instructing her how to testify. Now, Roshana's mom says, "We were intimidated. We were harassed. He was a powerful man, so we had to protect our daughter." Now, R. Kelly's attorney presses Roshana's mom about the harassment and intimidation, at which time she acknowledges that R. Kelly himself did not harass her or her family. She says she was intimidated. She says she was harassed, but she's saying R. Kelly didn't harass her family. This is testimony that's definitely going to get her caught up. It's going to get her caught up. Do you hear what I'm saying? And I'm telling you, it's going to come up in the notes that I've taken. And we're not even that far from being done. This is going to get her caught up. We ain't even got 20, 50, we probably got like 15 more minutes left in this video. This is going to get her caught up. But guess what we going to do? We ain't played the remix yet. Okay? So what I need from y'all is I need you to hit thumbs up. Okay? Hit the thumbs up button. Let's get into our R. Kelly mix. What is this? Hold on. Let's get into our R. Kelly mix and let's come right back.
Oh my God.
Baltimore, I can't see you. Where you at?
Y'all killing me with this. I can't out here.
I need you to hit thumbs up first. That's what I need. That's what I need. The job 280 is 506 here. Okay. Y'all.
Baltimore, I can't see you. Where you at?
Y'all killing me with this. I can't out here.
Robert.
You're killing me, man. This ain't not about music. I'm trying to have a relationship with my kids, and I can't do it. Y'all just don't want to believe the truth. You don't want to believe it.
At this point, we briefly pause the interview to give Kelly a moment.
Man, y'all killing me with this. Y'all killing me with this. Y'all killing me with this. Y'all killing me. Y'all trying to kill me. Y'all killing me with this. Y'all killing me with this. Y'all killing me with this. Y'all killing me with killing me, man. Trying to kill me. Killing me, man. Trying to kill me. Y'all wanna believe it? Trying to kill me. Killing me, man. Trying to kill me. I hope this camera keep going. Stupid R. Kelly. Fight for my life. Stupid R. Kelly. Do it. Stupid R. Kelly. Fight for my life. Stupid R. Kelly. Do it.
All right. All right. Are we ready? Honestly, if there are any R. Kelly supporters who want to call in, the phone lines are open. You need to call in the next 10 minutes. Otherwise, it's going to be it. I'm curious to hear what it is that you need to say about your mans. I am curious. I'm gonna drop the link one more time, and then I'm gonna continue. This link again. Only call in if you support R. Kelly. All right. All right. We were intimidated. We were harassed. He was a powerful man, so we had to protect our daughter. So she admits that R. Kelly himself didn't harass her or her family. Okay? Right? Oh, no, it's funny. Someone said they at work, girl, go to the bathroom and call in. You don't gotta be here all night. It can be a little 3-minute thing. Just call in. Just call in. R. Kelly's attorney continues and says, did you lie to the United States attorneys on May 25th, 2019, or are you lying now? Which one is it? Roshana's mom ended up saying, I'm telling the truth. R. Kelly's attorney says, so your idea to keep your daughter safe was to send her to live with Mr. Kelly and lie to the grand jury? Is that what you're saying? So Roshana's mom acknowledges she's maintained a relationship with R. Kelly, including accepting his invitation to parties and talking to her when her mother passed away. And then you have R. Kelly's attorney stating, you didn't say when you gained contact from him, hey, you threatened me. Don't ever call me again. Roshana's mom says no. R. Kelly's attorney says someone who is intimidated and scared and threatened, as you're telling the jury, you wouldn't have maintained a relationship with Mr. Kelly for the next 20 years, would you have? Right? Basically trying to place her in the shoes of her child, right? Someone who's so intimidated and so scared and threatened, like you're saying to the jury, you wouldn't have maintained a relationship with him for the next 20 years, right? And so Roshana's mom ends up saying the family didn't have any other income. R. Kelly's attorney ends up saying, didn't your family have a shoe store from 2001 to 2010? Roshana's mom says yes. Bonjean, R. Kelly's attorney, says, isn't that a business, ma'am? Roshana's mom says yes. Here's the last question from R. Kelly's attorney. You didn't take money to lie before the grand jury so your daughter could have a relationship with R. Kelly, did you? And let me repeat that. Last question Bonjean asked when she was up on the stand was, you didn't take money to lie before the grand jury so your daughter could have a relationship with R. Kelly, did you? Roshana's mom responds and says, no, I did not. Okay. So that's that. That's that. Are there any R. Kelly supporters that want to call in? Now we get into some cross-examination. Now we're getting into some cross-examination on the behalf of defendant McDavid. Co-defendant McDavid, we know that R. Kelly's not on trial by himself. He's on trial along with McDavid and Brown, right? Milton June Brown and Darrell McDavid. And so McDavid's attorney decides to cross-examine Roshana's mother. Okay. And McDavid's attorney revisits the part of Reshonna's mom's testimony where she says she met R. Kelly in an Oak Park hotel, but that R. Kelly, quote, didn't admit to doing anything wrong. Mind you, these were her own words. These were her own words, was that he didn't do anything wrong. And this attorney argues that R. Kelly was really upset because the family was about to be dragged through the mud by the media, not because he was guilty. So this attorney also is able to get Reshonna's mom to acknowledge and agree that the idea for the trip out of the country was actually for them to get out of town to avoid the press. The media was just too much. Just avoid the press, right? Not out of guilt, not to get you to deny or lie to the press or the courts, right? McDavid's attorney is done after he gets Reshonna's mother to acknowledge that she never had issues with McDavid, right? So McDavid's attorney is trying to establish, look, you and my client have never had any issues, and my client has never threatened you and never suggested that you lie. Again, this is disjointed testimony. I can't even lie. And y'all know what side I'm on. So it takes a lot for me to point this out. It'd be different if it was just like one detail that was off, but there were so many things that were off that just didn't make sense. For example, if R. Kelly didn't harass you and McDavid never threatened you, then who did? Right? Because she ends up clarifying through cross-examination with McDavid's attorney that McDavid never threatened her and never suggested that she lie. Prior to her testimony said that R. Kelly pressured her to lie. But then she also ends up saying, after she was pressed by R. Kelly's attorneys, that R. Kelly didn't harass her. Well, if R. Kelly didn't harass you, then who did the threatening? Because you said you were threatened and harassed. But down here, you say that McDavid didn't threaten you and McDavid didn't suggest you lie, but you said R. Kelly suggested you lie. Then you said McDavid never threatened you, then who threatened you then? Why not name who it was? Because you state that there was some witness intimidation. And here's the thing. I don't deny that there. I don't deny the possibility that some witness intimidation took place. The fact of the matter is you got on the stand, you didn't state or make it very clear to the courts who it was that threatened you. And I feel like that is where the government and the prosecution dropped the ball. They should have worked with you a bit more to realize how your testimony was going to come off. And they should have came up with a plan to help you to come up off of the information to lead you into a conversation to help you disclose who and how your family was threatened and harassed, because I do believe that did transpire. However, your testimony sitting up next to your daughter's testimony, it's not looking too good. Also, you got to the point of Reshona and her family's testimony, right? And specifically, we get to Reshonna's mom's testimony, and she's saying that when she had that meeting with R. Kelly, after she was contacted by what is it called? CPS, Child Protective Services, that she had a meeting with R. Kelly about the tape, right? Of her then 14-year-old daughter on tape with R. Kelly. And then they had a meeting, right? Her and her husband and R. Kelly, and they had a meeting. And she was told, around about the same vicinity of a conversation where she was told you need to leave and go to the Bahamas / Cancun. She was told you with us or not. She puts in this testimony. She testified earlier. She said that she was told you with us or not, and that she took that as a threat. She said R. Kelly and McDavid told her that. Then she gets down here to the end and says, and she said she took that as a threat, right? She was told by R. Kelly and McDavid, you with us or not. She was told she took it as a threat. She was afraid. She was scared for her life. That's why she packed her bags and she ran. Then she gets to the end and says McDavid never threatened her or suggested that she lie. Then she says that R. Kelly never harassed her or her family. Which one is it? Then she went from, we're fearful and scared for our lives. Due to said fear, we packed our bags, we left town. And then she turns around and says, we left to avoid the media. But at first she said she left because she was afraid for her life. And that's why she left, because she was told to leave. Then she says, yeah, we left because we just ain't want to deal with the media. The contradictions, baby. There are nearly 5 different contradictions here. And that sucks. Shout out to Pink Ops. Thank you for joining the channel membership. It's the mom, I don't know how much studying she did or how much studying she didn't do, but it's just not given. Okay, I'll drop the call-in number one more time. Even though I doubt anybody calling. Oh, we got somebody. So, which is it? Y'all drop some pancakes in the chat. We got somebody that called in. Let's see how this call goes. Okay. Supposed to be an R. Kelly fan. Hey, how are you today? Thank you for calling in.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Are you an R. Kelly fan?
Yes, I am. This is Spitting Fire.
Okay.
I was told on my channel, come
I'm
on
sorry.
over there. Come on over there. So I decided to come on or whatever. I know you're the opposition, but I am an R. Kelly supporter. I'm mostly like for injustice or whatever. I fight against injustice, and I think he's been done unjust in this legal system and everything. But you said something
can you turn
about
your camera on for me?
Huh? I'm trying to make sure I hear you because my mic seemed to, my audio seemed to be low. Can you hear me fine?
I can hear you fine. Can you turn your camera on?
Oh, I'm in the bed.
We just need just a quick flash.
Well, I would do it off the backstage.
Okay, I can take you off and people will still hear you.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me hit the button. How it go? Okay, here we go. People can still hear you. Okay, I see you got a little something going on back there.
Can you see me waving?
I see you got a real life situation back there. I can see it.
Okay.
You seem friendly enough. What's going on, sis? What you got to say about R. Kelly?
Well, I'm a supporter or whatever. I just think that there's a lot of injustice going on because I feel like if it's the truth and you at a point where if you feel like you've been violated or you've been threatened, you at a point where you can really take your threats and let the jury hear it, and then the court system and things of that nature. I don't think that, the truth has to be doctored. It stands on its own. And when you get up there, and I can understand being nervous, I can understand, misspeaking and things of that nature. But when you say he threatened you, he didn't threaten you, he threatened you, he didn't threaten you. When you say we lied to the grand jury, now we're telling the truth. There's just no way of knowing where the truth lies at that point. And I don't think it's up to the world to decide when and where you're going to tell the truth. I mean, we are in the Me Too era, and everybody's coming out for a payday or some type of incentives now. So I just think that we have to be open-minded and be optimistic, because we can often think he's innocent, or we can often think that he's guilty. But when people who get on the stand and have the opportunity to speak, and they stumble over their own words, and they getting caught up in a mess, then we need to really reevaluate, because we just can't say because he's a man, he's automatically guilty, or because we're in the Me Too era. You know what I mean? I think that's a lot of times we getting that, and we finding out that a lot of times there's some untruthfulness in it.
Okay. And so outside of the shaky testimony, which I've admitted that the testimony has been, a little shaky, questionable from Reshona's mom, what else do you have to defend him with? What's your reason that you support him, knowing that this tape exists of him violating a 14-year-old?
Well, here's the thing. You know what? I'm questioning about the tape. Because if you couldn't authenticate the tape, and we know that it's not the original, and we know that deep fakes happen, and we know that voiceovers happen, and we know that all these things happen, and I'm just questioning about that as well. Because if you have a detective that's on the stand and they saying that they seen the tape then and it's different from what they seeing today, we have to ask ourselves, is it the same one? Because we have to understand this tape was disseminated around everyone. I mean, they were selling it on the streets of New York, for crying out loud. You understand what I'm saying? And we need to understand that these things do happen. People doctor it. So they're saying, well, it doesn't have to be the original, because she can say it was her, right? But this is the same person that indicated in front of a grand jury and her mother saying it wasn't her. Now, here's why, and this is why I'm like, okay, I don't know if it was really even her, because I don't know anybody shouting out their age during sex. I mean, people do all kind of crazy things, but that's just far-fetched for me. But secondly, I just feel that what's happening is they saying that R. Kelly obstruct justice. They said that he originally took money and he sent them out of the country to avoid them for testifying or getting a hold of him. But in the end, we find out that wasn't the truth. But this is what the government...
What they didn't find out was the truth.
Well, they found out that he did not sit up there and send them out of town to avoid them not testifying against him or obstructing justice. It was just to avoid the press.
When did they find out he didn't obstruct justice? I just read through the evidence about him obstructing justice. What you mean?
But this is what I'm saying. But I read it too. And we have bloggers that actually been in the court, because I'm over there in the Cal sector. But what I'm saying is, when they initially said that he set up there and gave them money to avoid them testifying against him and all this kind of stuff, obstruction of justice, the government has did the same thing when they gave her an incentive to testify, to say what they wanted her to say. That was the same thing.
What incentives do you think they gave her that?
Well, they gave her Section 8.
Okay,
she testified to that.
And that's housing, which is a bit of a part of... Are you familiar with witness protection?
But see, here's the thing.
No. I asked you a question, and I would just like for you to answer it.
I can't hear you.
I said I asked you a question. I would just like for you to answer it. Are you familiar with Section 8?
I'm familiar with Section 8.
And are you familiar with witness protection?
I'm familiar with witness protection.
Okay. And that was part of what she elaborated upon, being afraid of testifying on behalf of the government, is being afraid of what the defense side, how they were going to retaliate against her. Not to mention, you have to be aware, if you're part of the R. Kelly sector, of how when the premiere of Surviving R. Kelly debuted, right? And there was a bomb threat called in. We're going to bomb, we're going to shoot somebody. And you're aware that somebody had pled guilty and admitted that they did it, and it was R. Kelly's team, right?
Well, I don't know if it was his team, but I know it was somebody that he knew.
They pled guilty. They pled guilty to calling in and saying, I'm about to shoot this place up.
Right.
Right. That was somebody of R. Kelly's team blatant witness intimidation
Was
that
she?
they
He
admitted
wasn't
to in
affiliated
court.
with R.
So do
Kelly
other
as far as his
people
team. He
not
knew
have
him,
the
but he wasn't
right?
affiliated with him.
Say it again.
He knew him, but he wasn't affiliated, and that's what the media said. The media said that he was R. Kelly's manager. He was not R. Kelly's manager. See, they have a guy that sat up there and in our sector that's been arrested recently on intimidating the government, and they
Talking
tried to
about Debo?
associate him with R. Kelly. So that's not
Debo?
necessarily accurate. But what I'm saying with
Are you
this, with
talking
the
about
Section
Debo?
8, she also was offered restitution as well.
Are you talking about Debo?
Yeah, Deboski gun, yes.
Right.
So what I'm saying is she was often offered restitution as well for her testimony,
and she hasn't accepted it though.
And her friends would get it and things of that nature. So that's the same thing. If they wanted to go witness protection, they didn't have to really do the Section 8 route. I mean, you can call the U.S. Marshal for that if you're really that afraid.
I mean, you know, you can come up with any sort of a suggestion as to how people can protect themselves. And it's really easy to do from the outside when you're not the person that is really living that lifestyle. However, you yourself just sat here and confirmed how people who aren't necessarily close as they want to be to R. Kelly, they're willing to do some crazy shit as much as calling in a bomb threat to intimidate people. And those are people who R. Kelly don't even necessarily want to claim like that. If it benefits him one day out of the year, he might. If not, he won't. And if that's what random people are willing to do for R. Kelly, his team is definitely willing to do some things that are worse. However, I'm curious to know how you can refute the payments that the IRS agent was able to sit up and go through. They spent over 3 hours on the stand today going through all of the different payments that were sent out to not only Reshona and her family, but even R. Kelly's own associates, because they were privy to some pretty dangerous information that could really damage R. Kelly's career. So R. Kelly was definitely involved in keeping people silent, not only just witnesses, but people who were actually a part of his camp. How do you refute that?
But see, I beg to differ on that. I beg to differ on that because, for one thing, we have a man that does not sit up there and deal with his own finances. We have a manager for that. I mean, the man can't read, write, and he can't do math for crying out loud. And we can't we can't just exclude that. But what we have to do is we cannot sit up there and make R. Kelly be responsible for everyone else's actions, because we have things that's called an adult. And they are responsible for their own actions. And he's not responsible for what fans do or anyone else. He's only going to be responsible for what he do and the people that work up under him of some of that nature. Now,
and that's the thing. He's on trial right now for what he's done.
And this is what I'm saying. This is what they're trying to connect.
But
to me, in my opinion, with this particular case, they're not doing an accurate job on doing that. I mean, they're not doing a great job at all. That's just my opinion. I just don't believe that they're doing a great job. We're saying that they was intimidated and that he was responsible for a lot of things, because we have to understand, even with the IRS going through all his different things, there was still millions of dollars going to McDavid that I'm sure, and I believe this, that Mr. Kelly wasn't aware of.
So how will his employees be paying money out to cover up or to get R. Kelly's dirt back, to retrieve it again, if R. Kelly never did the dirt?
Well, see, this is the thing. This is the thing. And we did this, we covered this even in the Eastern District of New York. There, when they was talking about Aaliyah and this bribery situation. And then he get on his stand, he says all these things to the public. Then he get on the stand and said, well, I don't even think Mr. Kelly was there at all. And that came out in court, and that's on a transcript as well. There's a lot of things.
Trial and what
but
person?
See, hear me out for a second. There's a lot of
what
things.
Trial and what person, so I can follow you?
Huh?
What trial and what person are you talking about?
So I'm talking about when they were in the Eastern District of Illinois, they were talking about Aaliyah and the bribery and marriage and things of that nature. And I'm only bringing that up just to say that even when Demetrius Smith was on the stand during that particular time, after he didn't say everything to the public, something contrary to what he said on the stand, at the end of his testimony, he ended up saying that he didn't believe that Robert Sylvester Kelly was even there at all and had anything to do with it. And after he already got immunity for testifying. So my thing is, if we supposed to, just the bottom line, and I'm not going to keep you waiting for too long, because but my thing is, if we want to sit up there and say this man is guilty, and if the law want to really crack down on human trafficking and things of that nature, even on my channel, I speak on a lot of times human trafficking starts at home. And all these parents knew about all these people doing all this stuff. And I don't believe that if you go sit up there and crack down on human trafficking, if all of them get immunity, I don't think that you just should be sitting up there getting him. I mean, that's just not fair. It's not right. It's injustice. And that's it, because you're not even fighting the crime. They have never cared about Black girls or little Black girls in the neighborhood. And we cannot act as if kids or teenagers are not sexually active. I mean, for crying out loud, they are picking up assault rifles, going in supermarkets and spraying up everybody. So we can't act like they ain't gonna go out here and be involved and do other things sexually that they ain't got no business doing, as well as adults and everybody else in the world. So what we really do is not really think that we need to reanalyze and reevaluate what we think of children or what we call kids today.
I'm trying to understand, right? Because you said you care about sex trafficking, you talk about sex trafficking, they don't care about Black girls. Then you say they picking up assault rifles and they do be having sex out here. I just don't understand. Like,
I believe you do. I just think that you probably upset about what I'm saying. But what I'm saying
no,
is,
baby, I'm not upset at all. I'm really not following your logic, because your
my logic is
not
this.
making no sense.
The world is hypocritical.
And I hear the hypocriticalness within you.
Okay, the world is
you care about sex trafficking,
and
but you taking up for R. Kelly at the same time. So I think you actually don't want to get the points that you're trying to make.
I think that people who have been damaged in their lives for some reason or another really want this man to be guilty because of what happened to them in their personal life. And I really do believe that a lot of times, human trafficking starts at home with these parents, because all these parents are involved.
You literally said
everything that's
trafficking
happened,
starts at
nobody
home.
has gotten
You
arrested.
said
No parents.
human trafficking starts at home, and then you said they don't care about Black girls, but
I
then you said
the world,
Black girls
the government. I said the government.
Right. You said the government don't care about Black girls, and then you said the Black girls out here having sex. So it's
we
like
can't act as if they're not out here having sex.
Exactly. So how are you trying to take up for them, and you trying to paint them out as being some fast ass?
No, I'm not trying to take up. I'm trying to be realistic.
Because you either want to protect them or
I don't want to have to do either.
Because
I'm trying to be realistic. See, what I'm doing is I'm bringing a situation to where most people don't want to talk about.
Realistic too. So for you to say you care about sex trafficking, right? And that
I didn't say that I care about sex trafficking.
You definitely said
that we care about sex trafficking
on your channel.
I'm speaking in general,
which means you care about said subject.
Excuse me?
You said you talk about it on your channel, right?
Right.
So you don't talk about shit you don't care about. You said you talk about sex trafficking on your channel.
Talk about what we talk about in general is the public. See, what we talk about in the public is real hypocritical, because what we do is we sit up there and say it's all on the man and it's this and that and this and that. But in fact, we find out that parents are involved in this situation. We find out that ain't no parents got arrested in this situation. We find out that everybody getting immunity in this situation. We find out all these things, but yet we still want this man to be guilty. And we don't want the people, when the real truth come out, to be arrested, because everybody got immunity. So what I was making a logic and a connection between what's real and how we are emotionally connected to this case for what goes on in our personal life.
How do you think sex trafficking starts at home? Because all I've heard you
a lot of times
is talk trash. Hold on. I would like to finish my question so that you can properly answer it.
I can't hardly hear you.
Yeah, and if you could just breathe for a second. Just pause.
I'm breathing. I got asthma, but I'm breathing.
Yup. Just breathe for a second. I
I'm
think
here.
if you could hear the question, you might
Okay.
be able to answer it a little bit better.
Okay, come on.
Okay. So all I've heard you do is make negative counters towards victims of sex trafficking, and you said you've cared about a certain subject, but all I've heard you do is rebuttal against victims of said subject. And I've heard you say sex trafficking starts at home, but I haven't heard
I didn't
you
say it
elaborate.
starts. I said a lot of times.
Exactly.
Correctly.
And I've heard you say it starts at home, but can you tell me anything
I said
about
a lot of times it starts at home. I didn't say it starts.
Right.
I said a lot of times it starts at home.
Right.
That's what I said. I didn't say it starts at home. A lot of times it does. Because if you have a mother that's taking you to meet a man and telling you to dress sexy and lying about your age and pretending to be you, that's trafficking. That's trafficking.
And that's not all cases. That's just the case.
And I said a lot of times. I didn't say
no, but it's not even a lot. That's not even a lot.
It's pretty much it is.
It's
because
not. What statistics? What website do you get your stats from?
A lot of times it does because we have.
No, I'm asking you what website where you get your data from. That's what I'm asking you.
Urban areas.
You're going based off of R. Kelly's situation, and that's one situation.
No, I'm not basing
that
off
has
R.
nothing
Kelly's
to
situation.
do with the actual statistics with regards to the majority of sex trafficking.
No, I'm not basing it off R. Kelly's
facts,
situation.
and you're not able to tell me where you get your statistics from.
Well, the thing of the matter is, I got it from the juvenile statistics website. If you really want to know, and here's the thing, and here's how we come up with this analysis.
What's the name of the website?
You come up with
What's
this?
The name of the website?
Because we have parents out here that's in the middle of the night and they don't.
Let me put you on mute. Let me put you on mute. So you mean to tell me you went to the juvenile statistics website and it told you that the majority of sex trafficking starts at home because parents tell their kids to dress sexy? That's what the Department of Juvenile Statistics, that's what that website told you, is that the majority of sex trafficking comes from parents telling their kids to dress sexy. I guarantee you that's not no real fact. I guarantee you that's not no real stat. And I guarantee you can't provide me with the link or where you got that information from. I guarantee you that. Negligent parents, as opposed to where and how people end up in sex trafficking, are two totally different things. And I get it if you want to blame some parents. And look, what I'm not going to do is sit here and act like all these parents are innocent, because they not. They not.
Thank you. Well, we agree on that.
They not. But I'm not about to sit here and act like the majority of people who end up, because it's a really unfortunate.
Say the majority. You put the words in my mouth.
Hold on. You absolutely did.
I said a lot.
You
I
said
didn't say
the majority.
I said a lot of them.
You
a lot
said
of the
the
times
majority.
It starts at home. I didn't say all.
You
I
said
didn't say all.
I didn't say all. I said majority, which is what you said. And see, you started playing semantics about 13 minutes ago.
But I didn't say all, so it doesn't even really matter
you didn't
about
say
what
all. You
you're talking about, because I didn't say all.
And I didn't say all either, baby. Listen, calm down, breathe. I know you said you had asthma, but just breathe.
I'm breathing good, but you seem like you upset. Your blood pressure,
baby.
like
I'm not upset.
elevated.
It's you. Because I'm sitting here trying to
I'm
tell
sorry.
you.
I didn't mean to make your blood pressure
sitting
elevated.
here trying to tell you. No, but you do sound like your blood pressure's elevated. You're
My
not
blood
listening
pressure
to
ain't elevated.
yourself.
I'm sitting here. I'm in
Okay,
the bed.
cool. If you feel like your blood pressure not elevated, that's amazing. I'm glad that you feel that way. I would recommend that you get grounded in reality one day. However, I am saying that you definitely said most.
I did, but that doesn't mean all.
I just said you said most. You just said you didn't, and then I just said it again, and then you
Okay,
just said
but
you did.
I said absolutely. So you're right.
You
I said all
exactly.
a lot of the
I
time.
am right. Thank you. Thank
I
you.
said all the time. So there was
Right.
no statistics needed.
There was
I
no
didn't say all.
statistics needed, but you sat here and you named off a false statistic that wasn't true.
But I said a lot of the time.
You said
I
most.
did not say all. You only
said
use
most.
statistics
I didn't
when you
say
all.
I said most because that's what you said.
Okay, but you don't need statistics when you don't say all. You
So
need
you
statistics.
just gave
That's
me,
all
and,
when you
but
need
I did.
statistics.
Nobody said
You don't
all.
need
Take the
statistics
word
when you say
all
that.
out of it, woman. Nobody said all. Nobody.
So why do I
you
need
said
statistics
most.
then?
Because you started acting like you talking about most. You said most of sex trafficking.
But I don't need statistics on most. Because I didn't
Let me hit the mute. Let me hit the mute on you because you is girl, woman. You're asking me questions, right? I'm up here engaging you in conversation, right? And what you said is most of the people, most of what you said most of the victims of sex trafficking come from parents who tell their kids to dress sexy. That is exactly what you said. That is exactly that. No, I'm gonna hit the mute because you're not letting me talk, which is why we keep getting into this lingo. So if you could let me talk and then you could respond, the conversation will go a lot smoother because I don't have a problem talking to you. However, you did say most. Now you're acting like statistics don't matter, but you just sat here and named a fake statistic that doesn't even exist.
It does exist.
Girl, you done went back and forth about 3-4 times. However,
that statistic does exist.
That statistic does not exist. You said the majority. I'm gonna get the mute. I'm gonna continue to hit the mute, right? Because you don't get it. You don't get it, right? You said most of the victims of sex trafficking are from parents who tell their kids to dress sexy. I said, what website did you get that statistic from? Because that's not where most of the victims of sex trafficking comes from. That's not where most of you said. I got it from the juvenile department of the
It's right there.
And then I asked you, right? I asked you about said statistic, and then you said,
"Why are you muting me?"
Because you're talking over me, and I'm trying to make a point, and you won't be quiet. And I don't want this to sound like an argument. I'm actually trying to ask questions, and before I can either answer your questions, because you do ask a few questions in the midst of what I'm trying to say. And then before I can even answer your question, you cut me off and move on.
Okay, you're right. Let's go then.
Then you move on to your next half-ass point. That's not even a point.
You happy?
Statistic.
Because I was making
that's why I keep muting you. Okay? Because it seems like you're not even capable of having an actual conversation. And then you forget what it is that you've said and that you just made up a fact and brought it out your ass.
But there's no.
And then we can't even get anywhere. And I'm not about to sit here and have a yelling match with you on my own platform. I'm not about to sit here and have a yelling match with you on my own platform. I asked you to call in because you want to take up for your man. Take up for your man. But do it in a respectful way because this is my platform. I would never call into your platform and try and talk over you or ask you questions that I don't want you to answer because I really want to get my point across. What I would do is I would call in and I would try to have a calm conversation with you. And you still yelling. Do you hear the octave of your voice? Do you hear where it's at? It's all the way up here. And you try to tell me that my blood pressure. Yeah, it's not. You just did all that. Right? You try to tell me that my blood pressure was all the way up here. Meanwhile, yours is way above mine. Right? So, you know, we can take you down for a second since you don't really quite know how to talk. You made up a statistic. The statistic doesn't exist. Then you told me, why do we even need statistics to talk about this? We don't even need it. You made up a whole statistic. And you can't even get your fucking point across because you're jumping from one fact that doesn't make sense to the next. She left. It's okay. I've had enough. Oh, she's back. Let's see if she know how to act.
Why you make people think?
Lower your voice. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. You made up statistic. That statistic is not real. That most of the majority, which is what you said, most of the victims of sex trafficking. See, go back and look at this shit. When this stream ends, go back and listen to what you said, but I'm pretty sure you don't have the patience to do so. She hung up again. Because you said the majority of human sex trafficking victims come from parents telling their kids to dress sexy. I asked you where you got it from. Oh, the Department of Juvenile. But why do I need statistics? Then you talking over me on my shit. I'm bringing up facts, and you just move on to the next fact that you just made up as you go. It's not. It's not. Somebody said her voice is always like that. Well, cool. She needs to understand courtesy because she came over here before I even said anything, telling me, oh, you need to lower your blood pressure. Oh, so I'm going to throw the same insult back at you because truth be told, I'm not talking at the same octave as you. So when you talking over me and you want to ask me questions and then I get 3.5 words into answering the question, and then you want to move on to the next fact because you realize my answer got way too much fat for the mess that you're trying to present. And now you're trying to talk over me and lead a conversation based off of steam and bullshit. It's not happening. It's not happening. You don't even have real statistics when it comes to sex trafficking. I talk about sex trafficking on my platform. Okay, tell me about it. No real answers. No real answers. Is she what? Was she in the chat? Oh, she going live at 6:10 a.m. and she's going live. That's okay. I mean, you know, she could have been live, given her perspective of what she feels like, how she feels like her man's is innocent. She feels like it's not R. Kelly on the tape. She feels like it's altered. She feels like it's the parents' fault. It's not R. Kelly's fault. She feels like the majority of sex trafficking starts because parents tell their kids to dress sexy. Okay. That's not what I believe. And what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to talk in fact. I'm going to talk in fact. And if you don't like the facts, you're not going to talk over me with your nonsense. The same way I would never be able to call into her show or anybody else's show with nonsense and talk over them and be disrespectful and tell them to calm down and bring up their blood pressure to them. I think the hell not. I think you support a pedophile. I think I called you out and it bothered you. And you're so used to talking fast and woo, woo, what? Because that's what it takes to defend R. Kelly. Because there's so many good Samaritans out here who are willing to tell you how cruddy you are when you're defending a man like Robert. So it does require for you to get a little worked up and what? And you feel like you have to talk over people. And that's the only way it can be done. But I'm sorry. I'm not taking it over here. Look, last show I did, I invited some people up here and baby, it went left. I'm not calling nobody up else on my panel. I'm willing to have a conversation with you, even if we disagree. However, it's going to be respectful. And if you can't get with how I want to operate this motherfucker over here, then you're going to go some fucking where else. This is my show. This is my motherfucking bus. You can come over here and defend or present any motherfucking opinion you want to. However, you're going to respect me. You're going to respect this platform. You're not going to call up here and ask me a question. Well, what do you think about this? And I'll say, well, wait a minute. I think, oh, but how about this? Oh, bitch, you're going to let me speak because this is a dialogue. And do you think I'm not involved? I think the hell not. So get it together. And the next time you want to defend a pissy ass pedophile on somebody's platform that doesn't accept it, maybe, just maybe, reading the room might help you. It might help you. See, because it's very easy to call into somebody else's show and you don't agree with them, and for you to read the room and at least acknowledge the energy that exists, state your opinion and go on about your fucking business. But if you feel like the only way to defend your pissy ass Pied Piper is to be disrespectful and speak over somebody else on their own shit when they stand for protecting victims, protecting children, protecting people of sex trafficking, so if you want to support or if you want to go see a pedophile's channel, rewind the video and check out her channel because she says she's going live. Go check it out. Hit rewind. This is a person that either is a pedophile or defends pedophiles. And that's how it goes. And if you want to see it, go check it out. That was her whole reason for coming over here anyway, was to get some publicity. She didn't really want to reason with what I had to say. It sounded like it at first, but she really didn't. She admitted she had asthma, but then wanted to bring up some hypothetical blood pressure issue. Newsflash, baby, I ain't got blood pressure issues. But I could hear that you had a health issue. Okay. Okay. Sex trafficking starts at home, she said. I'm trying to understand. I asked her, I said, how does sex trafficking start at home? Parents be telling their kids to dress sexy. Oh, that's how it go. That's how it go. That's how it go. So with that being said, because what else is going on? Because look, it's nothing. It's nothing, right? To invite somebody up to have a conversation. However, when people feel like they're going to come up on your platform and try to dominate, right, your platform and control and derail the conversation, because that's what it ends up being sometimes for the R. Kelly supporters is, let's talk about all the other people at fault. Let's talk about the parents. It's not R. Kelly's fault. It's about the parents, right? There's still a direction that needs to be maintained. If there's nothing that I learned from the last one thing, there's still a direction that needs to. So I can invite people up onto the panel. It doesn't mean that when I invite people up onto the panel that any and everything goes. That's not what that means. What it means is come up here and have a dialogue. But if you're going to derail or take away from what I'm concocting and what I'm curating, if you can't stay on topic, and I clearly announced the topic, right? R. Kelly's at fault. R. Kelly's on trial, right? If you can't stay on topic, then yeah, right? You can't call into the radio and just talk for 10, 15, 11 minutes. Hell, you can't even call the radio and talk for about 8 minutes, can you? 3 minutes, can you? You can't. You still have to follow a certain order and what's required and what's necessary of set platform that you're invited onto or to be a part of. So it's not about me getting mad. However, had I let the shit go left and just let old girl talk, it would have been a whole nother story. Oh, Jane, you allowed this. And it's not even about other people coming at me about what I allowed. This is my platform. This is my house. I do want to have certain conversations, but that doesn't mean when people come up here to have certain conversations that they can disrespect me and disrespect my platform and take away from the conversation that I'm trying to have. So we can have R. Kelly supporters, okay, come through here and get upset, and the R. Kelly supporters come through here and say whatever the hell they want to say. That's okay. But the fact of the matter is, this isn't their show, right? And of course, R. Kelly supporters are, how come you ain't let her just stay up there and do and say whatever? Because it's my show. And I asked them to come up here with a certain topic and a certain trajectory of which old girl couldn't stay with. Which is why I continued to try to redirect her and to get her back on course, but she didn't like it. They didn't like it. So that's it. That's it. Okay. So nonetheless, let's go and get out of here. Let's go and get out of here. Somebody gonna come through and say, you can't protect victims of sexual violence. You couldn't even protect yourself from the man who was stalking you. Who said I was out here physically providing shelter for those who are victims of sex trafficking? Dialogue is really important. And for somebody to come here while I'm talking about sex trafficking to bring up a situation in which I was in an abusive relationship, and a domestic violence relationship, and say, you ain't doing shit for the sex trafficking victims because that nigga was stalking you and you couldn't even solve that. The nigga's never going to stop stalking me because he's obsessed and he's sick. And something's wrong with them. That has nothing to do with this. So the fact that there are some people that watch all of my videos and try to take away from the awareness and the continuous dialogue that is necessary to help people understand what is and what is not okay as it pertains to victims of sexual abuse, for you to bring my situation, which is stalking, which has nothing to do with sexual abuse, for you to bring one into the other, lets me know all that I need to know about your negative ass. And then you came in here with a name like John Doe, as if I don't already know who you are or how you roll. I said what I said, and my stance about R. Kelly and my stance about R. Kelly supporters, it will never change. I am fully capable. As a matter of fact, I have conversations with R. Kelly supporters, believe it or not, every day. The thing about it is I got some even contacting me about, hey, can I get some transcripts? And we have conversations because I don't have an issue having conversations with people who support R. Kelly. Disrespect is one thing, and a dialogue is a whole nother thing. But see, there are several people out here in the world who just don't get it. Who just don't get it. Me being stalked by a nigga that's a decade older than me has nothing to do with creating awareness about people who are victims of sexual abuse. Those are two totally different things. Two totally different things. But it lets me know that you watching. And it's sick. It lets me know that you're obsessed. I'm not like, oh, you watching, keep watching. No, it lets me know how obsessed you are. You're sick. You're just like him. If you aren't him behind that account. It's weak. It's weak. Yeah, it's definitely giving obsession. And it be grown women. Knowing if it was their kids, it would be a whole nother situation. A whole nother situation. And that's why I say, when you come on here, show your face. If you want to support R. Kelly, show your face. Show your face. I let old girl pass because she I'm like, okay, I seen your face backstage, but show your face. You should be willing to put a face to a name if you're trying to defend R. Kelly. Period. But y'all have a good evening. We're gonna have a good show tomorrow as well. Oh, look, it could have, would have. Trying to leave a comment. Oh, those aren't the stats. Those aren't the stats. Those aren't the stats. Those aren't the stats. But continue though. Continue could've, would've. Continue. Because you hooked, I see. Make sure you check out the community tab. Matter of fact, make sure you join the membership so you can check out all of the backstage content too. You might as well give me a couple of, hey, you might as well send something to the Cash App too. Since you over here on everything. Check it out. Check it out. But those aren't the stats to sex trafficking, believe it or not. Ciao. Ciao.
It was gone.
Let me just go in the bush and weep. Let me just go in the bush and weep. I just have to go in the bush and weep. Really. I don't understand. I swear to God, I don't understand.
That's what I'm saying, child. That's what I'm saying.
So let's see if you're really proud about it. If you've been serious about what you've been saying about wanting to support more Black-owned businesses, here's your chance. I found a spot for us to grab our hats, hoodies, affordable electronics, phone accessories, and gadgets from. It's over on edwerso.com. That's EDWERSOW.com. Grab something for your hubby, your wife. Hey, I ain't encouraging that side chick behavior, but it's just in time for the holidays. So head on over there and grab your AirPod cases, hoodies, and affordable electronics. That's edwerso.com, EDWERSOW.com. And I'll see you over there. It's time to face it, boo. Your product needs more exposure. If you want to see your ad here on my channel, be sure to shoot an email over to yt.theplainestjane@gmail.com and let's chat. But if you're new in my neighborhood here on YouTube, hey, I'm the Plainest Jane, and I provide coverage and commentary on trending stories, viral events, and Black culture. I definitely appreciate you stopping through and hitting that subscribe button if you like more of my particular brand of syrup.
And we're back. Not like I didn't already know the statistics of sex trafficking, but of course I went to go look it up real quick. And the majority of sex trafficking does not start at home. Just checked out 2 different credible websites. It does not start at home. Just to let you know. It does not start at home. Okay. We talk about forced labor. It doesn't start at home, and it doesn't start from parents telling their kids to dress sexy. Not that that doesn't happen sometimes. Unfortunately, that's like a very scary situation. However, that's not the majority of how sex trafficking starts. So, yeah, seek help. Seek help. Seek help. But that's not how it goes. That's not how it goes. Exactly. We knew. We knew. And they get so upset at the facts that it turns into a whole nother situation, child. A whole nother situation. Nonetheless, I hope y'all have an amazing day. It is 6:32 in the morning. And I've got to go to work soon. I've got to go work and I probably would be getting up in like an hour. But nonetheless, let me go ahead and get off of here. I'm sending y'all positivity, good vibes, and all this stuff as always. Make sure you check the community tab if you haven't already. What you can expect tomorrow, because at the end of today, which was day 6, there was a lie detector administrator from Kansas City who barely had like 15 minutes on the stand in the midst of their testimony. And the judge actually ended up adjourning the trial in the middle of their testimony, like sent them home. It was a long day, right? Again, we got into Reshona being cross-examined. We got into Reshona's mother taking the stand. We got into an IRS expert going through all of R. Kelly's different financial situations or whatever the case is. And that stuff took a lot of time, right? The IRS person alone going over R. Kelly's finances and payouts and payments and all that other stuff, they were on the stand for at least 3 hours. Okay. So today was a bit of a long day, not to mention the cross-examination that Reshona had to go through, right? So we had Reshona's mom on the stand, and that was a lot. I'm very disappointed. I ain't gonna lie. I'm disappointed in Reshona's mother's testimony. It's really unfortunate that her testimony did not line up, okay, with her own daughters. I just can't believe that the attorney didn't do better coaching. Didn't do better coaching. It's to the point where she ended up saying that the family only had didn't have a source of income whole time. It was the time period in which the family still had the shoe business. So there was a lot that just didn't make sense, that was really hurtful, in my opinion, to the overall trial and getting R. Kelly the guilty verdict that he deserves. Okay. And this was a really unfortunate situation. Okay. So Nick Nicole, look, it's late. Maybe you can call in next time. You said he admitted it. What are you talking about? Are you talking to me or are you talking to somebody in the chat? Who are you talking to? We talking about conflicting testimony. We talking about Reshona's testimony stated that R. Kelly admitted it to her parents. We talking about her mother's testimony stated he didn't admit it. So whether he did or didn't admit it is not anything that I've referenced. I've referenced the conflicting testimony between the mama and the daughter. So what are you really saying? Okay. Okay. All right. I hope y'all have a good night, child. I hope y'all have an amazing evening. Okay, she said she was talking to the chat. It's too much going on. Y'all have an amazing night. Amazing day, actually. The sun's coming up. I will see y'all later on today with day 7, Tuesday of R. Kelly's Chicago trial. How is Section 8 witness protection when anyone using it can be found? Are you aware that Jeffrey Epstein accusers got new houses and identities? You think that everybody living on Section 8 is subject to the public database? Is that what you think? Do you think that when people need to relocate, if they need public assistance, do you think they're all being relocated without? I mean, because like arguing about Section 8 is not going to change what R. Kelly did. It's not. We can talk about Jeffrey Epstein all day too. Just as trash as R. Kelly. Just as trash. So us sitting here getting into the technicalities of Section 8 is it gonna make R. Kelly any less fucking nasty? However, she needed to relocate, and the prosecution helped to do that. Okay. Y'all make sure to hit thumbs up if you haven't already hit the thumbs up button. Y'all stay beautiful, black, and blessed. Subscribe if you haven't already. Drop some pancakes in the chat, and I'm going to see y'all in the next video. Deuces.
But that's it. If you want to catch more of my commentary on Black culture or vital and trending information, be sure to subscribe by hitting that little circle in the middle of the screen, or I'll catch you in one of these rectangles to the right in another video. I'll see you there.